What's up, Earthrockers? It's me, it's your boy Shovatar, back again for another video about Castlevania, another video about Castlevania Dracula X. Um, this is the best ending of the game. Uh, it is also the only video that I have for Dracula X. It's going to be a 1cc instead of being deathless. These two factors are not unrelated. Um, there are the difference between the best ending and the good ending is larger, in my opinion, than the difference between the bad ending and the good ending, because there are two major differences. The only difference between the good ending and the bad ending is that if you want to get the good ending, you have to complete a pretty tricky platforming segment in level 3, and then you have to actually fight the Doulahan boss at the end of level 3, and the platforming is tricky. The Doulahan boss is not really a factor of difficulty in that equation, I think. But the takeaway is that there's the and then you have to do normal level 4 instead of alternate level 4. Also, not really a huge deal. The Minotaur is much harder than the Magician, or whatever the fuck you call the boss of alternate 4. But again, the bigger difficulty difference, in my opinion, is the platforming section that you have to successfully execute in order to get to normal level 4 in the first place. Best ending has two major differences from the good ending. You have to do the platforming section properly again, and then you have to go. You get to skip the Minotaur boss, but you have to go to alternate level 5 instead of regular level 5. That's the first difference. Second difference is instead of fighting Camilla at the end of the Clock Tower, you have to fight Death. And I'm going to talk more about the death fight when I get to it, but for now I just want to mention that the death fight is the biggest problem with the best ending route of Dracula X, and it's the reason why I chose to 1cc it. I just kind of want to get that groundwork down before I go into the specifics of why, and I'm going to wait until I actually get to the boss to explain why, because a lot of the problems that I have with the boss are demonstrated directly in that part of it. I do die to other things in this 1cc besides the Grim Reaper fight, but about roughly half of my deaths are from the Grim Reaper fight, and again, I'm going to have to talk more about that when I get to it. For now, what I'm concerned about here is getting through the platforming in level 3, because doing a 1cc instead of a deathless run is, of course, many magnitudes easier, even if it's on like a harder route like this. Because, I mean, for obvious reasons, but especially in a game like Dracula X or in lots of other Castlevania games that feature platforming, that feature instant death, where if you're trying to do a deathless run, all of a sudden the fact that you get instantly killed for these minor positional mistakes means it's the end of the run. 1cc, obviously, you have some wiggle room. And it's even more the case in Dracula X, because if you can successfully, if you can finish boss fights at full health, which looks like I might actually do here with the Cerberus, which would be remarkable, then you get an extra life. Look at that. Okay, I can see I'm going to get an extra life already. So for that reason, even though Dracula X is so hard, I think it's easier to 1cc than some other than like 3, for example, simply due to the fact that you get these extra 1-ups, and that the game is generally more charitable with them. But the other big reason, but the thing about Dracula X that I think balances that out is the fact that you don't get extra lives from points, because there are no points in this game. That's sort of why Castlevania 4 is so easy to 1cc, is because they start you out with 5 lives, and there's 1-ups in the game, and it's easy generally, and there are points, and you can get lives from points. But there are no lives from points in Dracula X. There's a couple 1-ups in a couple spots, if my memory serves. Yeah, there's like 1 in 2, and there's 1 in 5. Or no, 1 in 6. But what I'm laboriously trying to explain is that a 1cc for this game is not that easy. Like, you don't really have the kind of cushion, the kind of like lives cushion that you might get in other games, even though you do get extra 1-ups for beating bosses without taking any damage. If you get a lot of those, then you can get a 1cc and have it be pretty sloppy. I remember when I was first collecting footage for this game, initially I was just going to do 1cc's for everything, And I did like a good ending 1cc where I died like fucking like like 6 or 7 times or something ridiculous like that. I was just like dying all over the place. And when I looked at that, that was what kind of convinced me like, okay, I can't post a 1cc where I die like 6 times. It's just like, I mean, a 1cc is a 1cc is a 1cc, but like uh, I would still like to have a certain quality of gameplay on display if I'm gonna like upload something to YouTube and have it be something that I'm happy with. What's interesting to note is that because this is a 1cc, I actually recorded this prior to either of my Deathless runs that I've already posted. So even though this one's getting posted last, I actually did this one first, because it was part of a first batch of 1cc's I did for all 3 of the endings of the game. And as a result, there are some mistakes that I'm going to make in this video that I sort of learned better, like things that I learned how to do better in subsequent videos. Like I'm pretty sure in my other videos I item crash to kill these guys. Like I think I hold on to the cross instead of picking up the holy water, and then I item crash to clear out those spear guys. I also fuck up that jump, but because like the thing about the holy water in Dracula X is that the holy water, I think I already said this in previous videos, but it is nerfed. It's severely nerfed, and you'll notice there that like it's not only is it nerfed, but it's 3 hearts per usage, and it does like no damage. Like it took me 3 hearts, 3 holy water shots just to kill one of those spear guys. So that was 9 hearts to kill one guy, whereas a crucifix item crash is like 15 hearts to maybe kill 3 guys. So like it's not good, and it's not an efficient usage of hearts. So it's just and its range is like barely any farther than the range of the whip. It's like maybe even not farther. I mean, maybe it is by a little bit, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, the holy water in this game is terrible. Just another reason. The holy water is especially god awful, and there's no Bible, which is why the axe is the best weapon in the game. Maybe, arguably the cross in certain situations. Well, actually, definitely the cross in certain situations. And because the toughest things in these games are mostly the enemies coming at you at strange angles, like birds, it's much better to have the axe in almost all situations. But what I think I started to say before, but I don't know if I quite finished it, was that, oh yeah, I was talking about difficulty of a 1cc. So yeah, you can get all the extra lives you want, right? You can no damage all these bosses and get all these extra lives, but the thing about trying to do a 1cc on the best ending or the good ending is that if you screw up the platforming at the end of level 3, you're sunk, because that doesn't kill you, it just drops you down into alternate 4 and locks you into the bad ending. So that actually is a section where whether you're trying to do Deathless or 1cc doesn't make a difference. It's just you're going to be fucked either way. So that sort of makes it especially difficult. And even though I'm not super happy with how this 1cc turned out, like a couple of deaths I think I'm okay with, but there are some deaths that really I should not have incurred. But I'm not going to go back and do it again just because I don't want to play this game again, and I don't want to like fuck around with the level 3 platforming section, because choosing to 1cc a particular stretch of the game doesn't make that any easier. Yeah, here's an example of a mistake that I was making back then, but that I don't make in my later videos. There's no reason to do that. It's much more economical heart-wise to just keep the axe and just kill them, with it, because like what is the cross gonna do for me, right? Like throughout this whole let's just I'm gonna lose the cross for the dagger when I get to the part later on when I have to step on the floating platforms, because you always lose the cross to the dagger there. And here, no, I just pick up the holy water. So I grabbed the cross to spend 15 hearts to kill things that I could have killed using like 2 hearts each from the axe. So I spent 15 hearts to kill things that I could have only spent 4 hearts to kill, and then I instantly lost the cross. So that was completely pointless. That was just a bad decision that I eventually realized didn't make any sense. And the reason why I say I'm going to get the dagger here is because you can't you can't not get the dagger here. Something that I should note is that there's actually a stopwatch in that candle up on the top there, but I don't quite understand what the game like wants you to do with it. I think the idea is that you're supposed to stopwatch that you don't get hit by that guy, or like so you don't so you don't like get essentially forced to pick up the dagger, because you have to whip that guy there, and if you have to whip that guy there, you also have to whip the torch there. And you have to whip the torch there. You have to get the daggers. That's only when I say that you are guaranteed to come out of this room with the dagger and no other sub weapons. But I think the stopwatch is supposed to give you a way to not have to do that. But I don't really get like why, because it's not like the stopwatch is particularly useful for any of these other segments. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is for the platforming in level 3, but like, I don't know. It seems so risky to me because the thing about okay, so the stopwatch is good in the Castlevania 3 and like 9.2 and 5C because that's like it's all very clear. Like you stopwatch when you're past the turrets, and then you just stopwatch again before the turrets shoot, and it's all conveyed very clearly. I feel like stopwatching while trying to jump across these like pillars here, like when there's Medusa heads spawning, I don't know. It kind of makes me nervous. I feel like you're just gonna the stopwatch is just gonna run out when you're mid jump, and you're just gonna jump into a Medusa head. You know what I mean? Like it just seems super risky. It seems much more safe to just wait until to just do it methodically, like kill a Medusa head and then jump, and then kill a Medusa head and then jump, like that kind of thing, like what I'm doing here. Because the stopwatch is because you have to make so many jumps, and it's like if you were gonna try to stopwatch between every jump, you'd run out of hearts. Even if you tried to stopwatch between multiple jumps, I just feel like, and like these big like turret towers, like if you stop, like how many stopwatches would it take to kill one of those? Like 2, and the stopwatch is 5 hearts, so it's like you're just not. I don't know. The point that I'm getting at is that I don't really think that it's worth trying to hold on to the stopwatch through all this. I think the axe is much more consistent. It's much safer. I guess if you're trying to speedrun, but no, if you're speedrunning the game, you would just fucking fall down and go to alternate 4. So I don't know. Here, just like in the good ending, I gotta pick up a key. And I gotta fight the Doulahan. And I think the Doulahan is actually especially easy to get the no damage bonus on at the end, because all the no damage bonus is checking for is your health full at the end of the boss fight. So, because there's a meat in the torch off to the left there, I can actually take a couple hits from this guy, but then if I get the meat before I collect the orb at the end, all the game sees is, oh, you have full health. That means you get the no damage bonus. So this part, I think I'm probably also going to get an extra 1-up on. And it's on the one hand, like getting extra 1-ups is nice because it means that in the context of a 1cc, but because I'm not just going for a 1cc, I'm going for a 1cc of like particular quality. Lives past a certain number aren't really significant to me. I don't want to. I don't want a 1cc where I lose like fucking 7 lives, you know what I mean? So I don't really know how many lives I have right now. I guess 6, because I no damaged the first 3 bosses. So, or well, technically no damaged. So you know, like if I die 6 times, like I'm just not gonna post the 1cc. Like I'm just not gonna be happy with that. So it doesn't really do anything for me past a certain number. I don't know, maybe that's like foolish. Maybe you could just say, I mean, hey, like I said earlier, you know, a 1cc is a 1cc. You can't just say it's only a half, but like I said, if I'm gonna post this shit to YouTube, if I'm gonna try to like give advice about a game, or like give advice about a level, or give advice about a boss, I feel like I should know it better than just like barely scraping by. Maybe if this game was like really hard, like if I was dying over and over again to shit, and I just said to myself, okay, there's nothing I could have done about that, then like that's one thing. Like when I posted my Cypher route 1cc for Castlevania 3, that was a case of like, Okay, this is bad, but I really don't want to do this again. So I'm just gonna live with it. Like Castlevania, if there's any game where you could like accept a bunch of deaths, it's fucking Castlevania 3, especially on US hard mode with the fucking skulls, because that's just nonsense. So here is the toughest part of the game before the death fight. Trying to do this little balancing act here where you have to like, it's just fucking impossible. Like, look at this shit, man. Like, what did I do wrong there exactly? Other than get a bad bat timing. Like, I can't jump over him now, right? Because the fucking bat's there. Like, look at this. Like, there's nothing I can fucking do here because I like triggered the bats at the wrong time. I mean, maybe I could have jumped over him there. Maybe that was the idea. But like, and what sucks about this is also a part where I can't die, even though this is a 1cc. Because if I die, I lose the key, and I need the key to free Maria to get the second key to get to alternate 5. So that part is fucking ridiculous. And I still, I mean, I guess what you're supposed to do is look for an opening to jump over the red knight axe guy, but now you're like trying to avoid him. Jesus fucking Christ, I'm just getting my shit pushed in. Now you're trying to like avoid a charging knight while simultaneously trying to deal with bats coming out behind you. And look at that. Did you see that? Did you see that bat come out of fucking nowhere and hit me like that? That is some Castlevania 3 shit, man. But you know what the difference is between this game and Castlevania 3? I bet you probably do if you've listened to my other videos about this fucking game before. The difference between this game and Castlevania 3 is that in Castlevania 3 you can fucking move, which you cannot do in Dracula X. Now, thank God the developers were nice and decided that doing that shit earlier with the spikes and the bat and the red knight with no sub-weapon was horseshit. And freeing Maria doesn't just give you the key to alternate 5, but it also completely restores your health. So thank fucking Christ for that. Because that is just like, this whole section is just fucking dumb. Like, you can't fight these things. Like, you just can't do it. Enemies that like swerve around in the air like that, the point is you have to be able to adjust your position to avoid them, but you don't have any control over your position on these fucking floating platforms. Like, look at this nonsense. Oh my god. Like, seriously, what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to ignore them. You're supposed to just, like, keep fucking going. And if they lunge at you, you just have to fucking hope that they miss you. I mean, I guess you're supposed to hit that rosary, too. There are 7 skulls on the screen. That was, like, 7 skulls. God, it's fucking shit, man. Ugh. It's because there's no, like... It's like fucking 9-4, dude. Except worse. Because you have even less control over, like, what you're doing. 9-4 just has water currents that push you back at a fixed rate. They don't have, like, fucking platforms constantly launching you up and down. Not that this game... I mean, the only reason this game is not harder than 3 is because the combat is less punishing. Like, in Castlevania 3, what makes it hard is that it has, like, there's, like, platforming and, like, tough combat challenges, and you die in 4 hits from everything. On hard mode, at least. Whereas with here, you know, I can get beat up pretty badly without dying. And now we get into alternate 5, which I'm going to actually, like, try to talk about specifically. Alternate 5 is definitely harder than normal 5. It has an easier boss at the end, because at the end of the normal 5 you have to fight the werewolf, which is pretty tricky on Dracula X. Alternate 5, what's hard about Alternate 5 is that it's a memorization game, because those fish guys keep jumping out of the water, so if you jump at the wrong time, you will land on them and they will knock you back. So you just have to do the level until you remember where the fish guys are, and then don't jump when one of them is going to show up. It's Dracula X's favorite thing. Dracula X despises the concept of movement. It thinks that it says you don't deserve to move. We're going to make you walk at a fucking snail's pace. And see, this is also dumb. Like, that's another thing where I could have just grabbed the axe and killed that bone serpent with the axe, but instead I use a fucking item crash that I don't have to. Although actually, item crashing with the crucifix or with the cross is really useful later on. So that's actually fine for me to have the cross here and to use it because I have fucking 81 hearts. It's not like I have to worry too much about being like heart efficient. Like this part here is pretty tough, but this is fine because this is like consistent, and it's a similar thing. I mean, it's annoying because it's a similar thing that I've talked about where you're trying to like deal with enemies that are floating at you while there's a platforms are going up and down, and while you can hit the fucking sides of spikes again. I mean, at least the spikes don't fucking insta kill you, right? That's like the one saving grace. This room here is the room that I wanted the item crash for. You have to get through here while the water is rising, and also you have to kill 2 bone serpents in a very you have to kill one bone serpent with a very strict time limit. There's a way to do it quickly, which is that jar there. See, that was dumb. If I had kept if you walk into an enemy while you're affected by the jar's invincibility, they will just die. So the way you're supposed to do that is grab the jar from that torch, and then just walk forward into the bone serpent and kill it. And then just kill this guy like normally. But it's harder to kill that bone serpent normally because you can't really like move, and you can't really jump, because if you jump at the wrong time, you're going to jump into the spikes. So the item crash there is sort of necessary to kill the bone serpent. Not really for the first one, because you can use the jar. And this is how you rescue your girlfriend. You have to whip the wall where the hole... You have to whip the hole where the water is coming out of, and somehow that makes the water stop. Doesn't make any sense at all to me, but... Also, they made Annette blonde in this Western game. I also don't know how she knows that the count is growing more powerful by the minute, but whatever. Whatever. None of this matters. See, alternate 5 is very difficult, and it definitely... it feels like what alternate 5 in Rondo is supposed to be, and kind of what like the Sunken Temple in 3 is supposed to be, which is like a secret alternate level that's also the hardest. This is definitely the hardest level in the game. Just sort of like room by room, pound for pound, there's always something in this level that can go wrong. As you're going to see there, that's exactly what I'm fucking talking about. When I talk about how this game hates it when you move. If you watch that footage, you play it back, like, okay, yes, the fishman was on the screen before I jumped, right? But I just forgot that he was gonna be there, and I'm trying to fucking move. Like, I'm just trying to go forward. You know what I mean? But, so, like, if my reaction time was better, if I was, like, watching for him, then maybe I could, I could have seen him coming and I could have stopped, but, like... But I promise you, anyone in that situation going through the level for the first time would fucking jump there. That's what you're supposed to do. You're just like, something jumps up through the middle, you think, like, that's it. That's the ambush fish guy that's waiting for me. So now that guy's dead, now I can jump. No, it turns out there's a second guy who's telling you to stop fucking moving. So fucking annoying, dude. It's like the fucking bridge in level 2, where it's like, you have to... It's like, no, you can't jump now, you can't jump now, now you gotta jump. You gotta jump exactly when we say you can jump, and not at any other time. And so it's exactly like the fucking bridge, but it's like an entire fucking level. And now, because I died, I don't have enough hearts to do, like, a sub-weapon, like, double shot, triple shot. I can only throw one axe at a time, so this boss is gonna take fucking forever to die. Because the fact that you can't fucking move means you can't, like, get to him fast enough to hit him when he does that little cresting thing. So you have to wait until he, like, sticks his head up to do his little, his, like, breath shot out of his mouth. But then, because I don't have enough hearts, I can only hit him once. So I just have to fucking sit here and wait. While this asshole fucks around for, like 20 seconds between every opportunity that I have to actually damage him. Ugh, I hate this. Because I forgot one guy. I forgot one fucking ambush fishman. And now it's just in shambles. Wow, he really is just just playing his own game here, isn't he? Like, I don't know, like, I mean, technically I could hit him when he crawls around the ground like that. I could crouch and whip him, but, like, by the time I see him, like, I can't do anything about that, right? Like, that's just fucked. And when he just, like, when he does the slow crawl, it's like if I kneel to hit him, then he's gonna hit me at least once, probably twice, because he'll hit me with his face and then he'll hit me with, like, his little, like, vertebrae. So, like, what the fuck is even happening? This boss is so shit. Like, it's not, like, I didn't realize this until, like, watching this footage back and seeing how much time I'm spending just doing fucking nothing on this boss. There, now he finally fucking dies. Jesus fucking Christ. Ugh. But the good news is I'm out of this goddamn level. I can get on with the rest of the game. Oh, man. You know what's funny? I wanted to go into this commentary being more positive. Because my last two commentaries were very overtly negative, and now this is like... Now I'm just like in pain again. And something that I've seen people say before about this game is like, oh, this game only gets a bad reputation because people are comparing it to Rondo. And to be fair, I have done a lot of Rondo comparisons in these videos. And I mean, that's just something that I can't do anything about that. You know what I mean? I can't go into my brain, you know, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and like excise all my memories of Rondo of Blood to try to evaluate this game on its own merits. Like, I just have to... I don't know how to not... I can't pretend that Rondo doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? And it's especially difficult for me because instead of, like... It means that, I could... Instead of saying, oh, the death fight is unfair, which is something I'm gonna say pretty soon, now I can just say, like... Well, it's unfair because they didn't implement it properly. They took the Rondo death fight and then they didn't, like, do it right. Or, like, that fight there is another great example, the Bone Serpent fight, where, like, on Rondo, like, obviously that fight's a lot easier on Maria, but you can fucking do that fight on Richter just fine, because you can actually move. You can, like, move to where he is if you see him. And this room here, so in my Deathless runs, I don't go over here. Because it's way too risky, and because all you get out of it is one beat, and you're, like, risking death. And you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Here, kill a bat, wait for a platform to show up, bat knocks me off, because I was one platform too late. And that's exactly the kind of thing that's not worth doing. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I didn't realize at the time that you can just jump straight up. Like, if I get on one of those platforms and then jump, it'll put me up on the platform right above it. So what you should do when you get to this room is what I do in all my other videos, which is that. Just get on that first set of blocks, jump straight up, and then just get out of this fucking room, because it's just not fucking worth it. And the bats will only start spawning if you come over here. If you never come over here, the bats will never spawn. So you can just get out of here in 2 seconds, and you don't have to fuck with the bats. You don't have to fuck with this asshole over here. You don't have to do anything. And the reason I didn't know that is because this seems like a room. Do you get what I mean? Like, this seems like a room in a video game that you have to complete in order to progress. But it's actually not. It's actually a death trap disguised as a room. That you can completely bypass and that has no reason to exist. So, silly me for assuming that a room in a game would be there with the intent that you complete it. But now I know better. Now I know better. This game is not... You know what Super Castlevania 4 has going for it? Okay, see, this is also bad. The fact that I die back there means I don't have the axe, which means that I can't kill this guy. And you're gonna see what I mean, like... Okay, he's backing up, and I softened him up with the item craft, so actually I could kill him there. And now, here we are, when the bat spawns, when the platform goes down. Okay, there. Not quite a complete shit show spawn cycle there. Okay, that was fine. That second part was fine. I'm almost dead, but it's fine. And the thing is that I really don't want to die here, because I had this feeling at the time that the cross would be better for the Grim Reaper fight the way that it is in Rondo. This is crazy. Man, I didn't have a choice. I think like the other thing maybe you're supposed to do is stay on the gear and try to jump over him when he like runs at you with the gear, but then you have the gear fucking with your movement, so you just gotta just going for it and getting the backflip timing there is really the best you could do, in my opinion. So I'm gonna try to go into the Grim Reaper fight with the cross, and hopefully that makes it better. You know what Super Castlevania 4 has going for it? Super Castlevania 4 has, I think I said in a previous video, it has like this unique atmosphere, this unique feel, and it also like is very cinematic, for lack of a better term. Like the music, like especially the ending is very like cinematic. The music, it has like this adventurous quality to it, and the fact that Dracula X is shorter, and the backgrounds aren't as like ornate, kind of makes it feel like, you know, less so. Because that was something that I think was said of the director of the first Castlevania game said, where he said like I want it to feel like a classic horror movie, and I don't think any of these games really feel like horror movies per se, because in most horror movies, the protagonist doesn't go around killing everything with a whip and a giant axe, but I get what he means, and I'm just getting fucked up by the Grim Reaper fight. This is actually not the part of the Grim Reaper fight that I have a problem with. Even though it's fucking me up, I think Phase 1 is actually fine. I think it's definitely harder than the Rondo fight, because you can't move, so you can't like dodge and react to the scythes properly, but what I got wrong there was I just didn't correctly anticipate sort of the path that the Grim Reaper moves on. And the cross also turns out is not as good there, because I'm going to demonstrate to you here how you're supposed to do Phase 1. The way that you do Phase 1 is you just keep him away from you the entire time. You try to knock him to the edge, and then just keep him on the edge, away from the platform that you're standing on the entire time. Because he will only summon scythes if he's, like, close enough to you, and if he's far... and, like, he doesn't summon scythes out there. Like, he doesn't summon scythes way out there on the edge of the screen, so if you can keep him on the edge, like, off the central clock tower platform there, then he won't summon scythes, and you can just, like, bully him over there. So see, I get through Phase 1, taking 0 damage, and then watch what happens on Phase 2. I'm doing good, I'm doing good. Oh, wait, he's doing this. Okay, I gotta get away from him. Okay, he's doing that again. Okay, now I gotta get away from him. Okay, he's doing this, and now I'm far away from him, and now I'm dead. Okay, so the reason why the Grim Reaper fight is terrible, and why I decided to 1cc the best ending, where you fight the Grim Reaper, is because Phase 2 of the Grim Reaper fight is objectively not designed around the Dracula X movement speed. There is no way to dodge the spin attack that he does. Now, that doesn't mean... Now, when I say there's no way to dodge it, I don't mean that it's undodgeable, because it's not undodgeable. I have dodged that attack before, right? But there's no way to do it. I don't understand how I dodged it when I dodged it. I don't understand the timing. Every time I thought I knew what was going on with like the spin dash and like when to dodge, like should I be backflipping? Should I be backing up? Should I be like, what should I be doing? Every time I thought I understood it, I just didn't. And it just would turn out to be wrong. So there I have a terrible, terrible Phase 1, but because he decides not to do the spin dash over and over again, he dies. And I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel like something I have any control over. It doesn't feel like something that my reactions have any relevance to. You can see Dracula's castle in the background, even though you're climbing up the final steps to Dracula's castle. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's haunted. Or maybe that's an unrelated castle in the background that just looks exactly like this one. It's all possible. Anything's possible in Castlevania. Excuse me, sorry. Because the castle's haunted, right? It's a magic, evil, haunted castle. This fucking game is haunted. That's what I have to say. It's haunted. It's haunted by this bizarre this bizarre objective. Another thing about the Grim Reaper fight that I forgot to point out because I was too busy talking about its mechanics is that he like in Rondo of Blood, he starts off in the background and then comes to the foreground, but like that doesn't make sense because he comes in like in the background, like close to the clock tower, and then comes back down right in front of you. So unless that ledge that you're standing on is like way far away from the clock face itself, that like doesn't make any sense. And if you go back and watch the beginning of the fight where he first comes down, you'll see what I'm talking about. But fortunately, we're past all the parts of this route, and of this game that suck. Level 7 was very annoying to me at first, but once I got like what it was and why it existed and how to get through it, really the key thing was figuring out the item crash here to kill this guy. That was like the key thing that helped me figure this out, because once that guy dies, like, you're good. You can use the rosary to kill the first guy, and then you can just completely fucking ignore this guy. There is actually a meat in that candle behind that guy, but like, fuck that. Like, fuck ever trying to fight that guy. Like these fucking platforms that go up and down where he can just like knock you off into the fucking Medusa heads that keep spawning. Fuck that every day of the week. And here, okay, good. There have been times before when I've jumped onto that last platform and Medusa heads have like knocked me off. It's actually fucking ridiculous. Now let's see if do I pick up the axe here? Okay, good. Yeah, I had that figured out. There was a certain point in time where I like would try to do the Dracula fight with the cross, but then the more I practiced it, the more I realized that the axe was much better. And I don't remember if at this point in time I'd figured that out yet, but I had. I must have figured it out pretty early on. And like I have talked shit about this Dracula fight before. Like I think I may have. Like this fight is kind of an example of why something that I don't of like why platforming is another problem that I have with platforming, right? Where the fact that you are threatened with instant death anytime you try to go chase him means that you can't like ever get aggressive and you have to like sit here and wait on these fucking platforms because this is just the smartest way to fight him. I think I said that in one of my other commentaries already. But what I'm getting at is that even though the Rondo Dracula fight is much easier than this and much more like and fairly anticlimactic, like this fight is also like this fight is harder, but it's more boring. Kind of. I just wish, you know what? I like this fight. I'm just gonna say it. Like I realized like I complained about it. I talked about like why it's bad, and yes, I don't like how much waiting there is, but I think it's dumb that like Dracula's positioning is totally RNG. Like I think he should probably stay near you. Like if I didn't have to sit here and fucking wait for him to show up all the time, then this would be much better. But the fact that I do means that this is bad. But otherwise, I don't really mind this fight so much. Because there is this concrete solution to it, where it's like, once I figured this system out, where it's like, that lowest pillar there is like a perpetual safe spot. Look at this. Doesn't hit me. You can't get hit if you crouch down there. Once I figured that out, it's fine. This is actually bad. I don't want him to start phase 2 over here. Because I really want to have as much space as possible to move backwards, and here what I'm going to have to do after this part is I'm going to have to try to move past him, which is always really tricky. But I barely get by his feet there, and post up on this platform and survive. And I crouch here because I think crouching somehow reduces your knockback. Like sometimes that attack will knock me back, and sometimes it will not. And I think it's the crouching. I don't think it's anything else. So that was actually not smart for me to kill Dracula to end phase 1 where I did. What you should do, what I should have done, is waited until he was on one of those 2 platforms furthest to the right, because then you can keep moving back and you can keep getting away from the big almost naked muscle demon man, and then you can like because getting distance on him is super important, so you can anticipate the fireballs to a certain extent, and just so you have more control over the fight. So I should not have done that, but I made it through anyway. And here we are with the best ending. Maria does not look right. There is something wrong with her face that is not drawn correctly. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's an aspect ratio thing. Because I mean this emulator is better than other ones that I've used in terms of like getting closer to the native aspect ratio. But I think this still might be slightly horizontally stretched. I'm not 100% sure because I think it's like I don't know. It might be like 4:3 because these old games have really like they're practically squares in terms of like what their actual normal aspect ratio is supposed to be. This one, I mean, it looks kind of square shaped just by an eyeball check, but I don't really know for sure. Anyway, that's Dracula X. I do like some things about it. I actually do kind of like the Dracula fight. I think level 7 is designed in an interesting way. I appreciate the challenge. You know me, I like challenges. I just really wish that some of the specific decisions they made about enemy placement were different, and I really wish that they had let Richter move. If those two things were fixed, this game would be like excellent. But the fact that they are not means that it's really not good. And like the fact that the Dracula fight is designed the way it is actually like that fight works because that's actually a place where Richter's slow movement speed doesn't come into play because you can just jump everywhere. Like the game hates you jumping the rest of the time. It constantly punishes you for jumping everywhere else. But there at the very end of the game, it's like jump around like Super Mario, jump around like House of Pain, jump up and down on a trampoline, jump around. Don't jump into the pit, but you